Well, I'm sure a lot of you guys have already been seeing the spy pics that have been circulating all over the internet about the brand new Royal Enfield Classic 350. Well, guess what, guys? Right here in front of me is the brand new Royal Enfield Classic 350. And we're super excited to be here and have this bike with us. This is by far one of the most important launches for Royal Enfield right now, because the Classic 350 has actually been one of their best-selling motorbikes. In fact, since 2010, this model has sold over 3 million units worldwide, and that's a magnificent sales figure to reach by any manufacturer, and Royal Enfield seems to be just growing and growing and growing thanks to this model right here. And another important thing that Royal Enfield has done is they're actually employed a global team of professionals to develop this product once again to be a global product. And when the first model was launched back in the day, this was actually Royal Enfield's first proper globally exported model, and it was very popular all over the world. And once again, they're hoping the new model will have the same success.
You're watching the autoX YouTube channel. You can also get your daily dose of all things automotive on our website, autox.com, and follow us on social media. Don't forget to check out our monthly magazine and make sure to hit the bell and subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
So now we've ridden the bike for the entire day and we've had a fantastic time with it, and we've even come to a very nice location. We are right now here at the Tijara Palace, and it's a beautiful place full of so much history, just like the Royal Enfield brand, which has been around for a century. Now, the Classic model has obviously been inspired from much older generation models that were existent during World War II. As you can see, the bike is certainly a very proper modern retro motorcycle. Now, we all know that Royal Enfield uses this hashtag of pure motorcycling all over social media. And that's exactly what the Classic model is. It is a pure, bare bones motorcycle. It's just got a chassis, engine, wheels, and it's a naked, beautiful bike with everything exposed, wonderful panels, and the overall quality of this bike has definitely improved by leaps and bounds. We saw it with the Meteor 350. That bike was actually the Indian Motorcycle of the Year winner just last year. And this bike is more or less based on the same new J-Series engine. So we do know the engine is a fantastic engine already. And we've ridden the bike today, and there's just so many good things to say about this bike. Of course, the engine is a 350cc unit, and it's a beautiful, beautiful engine. It's got that great flat torque curve, and it just gives you a good amount of kick no matter where you are on the rev bands, and you can ride for hours and hours and just feel that smooth engine throttle all the way, pumping up and down with the pistons. It's a wonderful machine, and we just love that engine so much. The throttle response is fantastic, and it's great for easy riding. If you want to push it a little bit, it can do that as well. Cruising at about 100 kilometers per hour is not a problem whatsoever. In fact, it can even go much faster than that. But this bike really is just, you know, it's got a lot of soul to it. It's got a lot of inspiration from really good motorcycles that have such a huge significance in history. And the Royal Enfield brand obviously is banking hard on that as well. And the differences that you will see in this motorcycle are not very big when you compare it to the older Classic 350. In fact, they're very minor changes. From far away, you might not notice them, but when you step closer, you'll see. Starting from the front, there's a completely new headlight. It's got pilot lights as well. There's also a new instrument panel, and now gets an analog dial with a digital display as well. And it's also got tripper navigation as an option in this variant right here. And unlike the Meteor, the tripper navigation is actually placed very nicely in the panels here, and it looks very good. Quality is fantastic. Even the front mudguard is now much, much bigger. And the biggest thing you'll notice about the front is the forks. The forks are now massive front forks, and they look chunky, they look muscular, and very, very nice. Now when you get to the midsection, it's the new engine, of course. It's got the same chassis as the Meteor as well, but it's got this nice teardrop fuel tank, and it's a beautiful fuel tank, very classic in its design. It's also got newer seats now compared to the older model, and I have to say that when I first Classic model, I didn't like the seat whatsoever. In fact, I did a very long road trip to Gangotri, and the biggest problem I had with that bike was the seat was just absolutely totally uncomfortable. And the Meteor changed all of that, and that was probably the best seat I've experienced on an Enfield. And this one here isn't as good as that, but it's definitely much better than the previous model of the Classic. Now, of course, the single seat is what the proper Classic styling should look like, but they've given us a bike which has the rear seat as well. So a little bit of that old Classic single seat hardtail kind of look is gone, but it still looks very, very nice. Now, when you get to the rear, again, the mudguard is massive again, and there's some bigger rear tire as well. Now, the model that we have here has got spoke wheels, but if you use the Make It Yours app, you can always customize your bike to make it look however you want. You can get alloy wheels instead. And this bike also gets more travel suspension, which is fantastic. You know, the Meteor, again, I have to say, really, it wasn't very good in the terms that in the way it absorbed a lot of the bumps. And the Classic 350 is a very good motorcycle to go on adventure riding. In fact, before we had all these entry-level adventure bikes in India, this was the motorcycle that the majority of Indians would take on those long, awesome road trips. They would go to Ladakh or Spiti. This was that bike. And the suspension now has been improved. There's more travel, and it just feels very, very nice. We did ride it some broken roads. In fact, you know, this bike was battle tested. I mean, it was used in the war. It was meant to go on some hardcore terrain. And this bike right here can do exactly the same thing. It's also got disc brakes on the front and the rear. They're bigger disc brakes as well now. And you also have the option for a drum at the rear. So you can obviously customize the bike to what your liking is. And there are different color options as well. You do have the military color with the numbers as well on that. So there's a lot of options for you in terms of design and what you want the bike to look like. In terms of the seating position also, it's a very laid back, upright seating position. But what they have done is they've brought the handlebars now closer to the rider, so it does feel a little bit better for long distance touring. And I also have to say that, you know, the engine sound isn't all that different from the Meteor, even though it's exactly the same engine. But I don't know if it's a little bit of a mind trick that I'm riding a Classic, but it does sound a little sweeter. Now, I don't know if it's gonna happen to you guys, but it's happened to me for sure. So this bike really is a fantastic looking bike. It's got a beautiful engine. The handling also is great. You can't obviously expect to be leaning in all the way into corners at high speeds, but certainly this is a very nice, very comfortable cruising machine. It's a good for as a commuter as well. It's not too heavy. It's definitely a little bit heavier than the older model. It's not too heavy though, so it is manageable. Seat height's pretty low. You got decent ground clearance. Overall dimensions are pretty much the same as well. But it's got the new chassis as well now. So if you compare this to the older model, this definitely is a much, much better machine. And if you look at the success the older model have, I'm sure that this bike here will replicate that success once again. Now let's look at the competition that this bike actually has. You've got the brand new Honda CB Highness. It's a terrible name. I don't even know why they call it the Highness. You've got the Benelli, of course, the Imperiale. And those two bikes are also modern retros at a very good price tag of just over 2 lakh rupees. This bike right here, well, actually, we don't know the price yet, but I'm guessing it'll be around 1.75 to around 2.1 lakh rupees ex-showroom. And that's a very good price for this product right here. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there that just, you know, detest Royal Enfield for their quality and reliability. But let me just tell you this right now. Even when the bike had reliability issues, it still had a massive fan following. The Royal Enfield brand is bigger than itself. It's so massive, and it's got a lot of followers all over the world, not just here in India. And this bike really is something special for the brand in terms of the way it sells. So, I mean, there are a lot of younger riders out there who like the more performance-oriented machines and the ADV machines. But if you are into something that's full, a metal piece, it's got no plastic on it, it's a pure motorcycle, it's fun to ride, it's easy to own, easy to fix, easy to maintain. You know, servicing is very cheap, and you've got a massive service network all across the country. This bike is definitely going to be a fantastic machine to own, and it'll give you a very good experience as well. Now, is there anything I do not like about this bike? Well, I'm gonna have to be very honest. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who does like lots of power in a machine. So I think the older 500 models was more to my liking. This is the smaller 350cc engine, and we don't think the 500cc engine will come back anytime soon. So in that respect, yes, it is a little short in power when you compare it to the competition as well, like the Highness and the Benelli. But But let's be honest, if you're looking for an ultimate motorcycling experience and the ownership experience of having a beautiful bike, the Classic definitely will touch your heart and all your senses. And that's why I think Royal Enfield's done a fantastic job once again. And again, I'm going to mention this is a global product. It's not just going to be sold in India. It's made up to standards in terms of quality. And at the price that you're getting this machine for, you really can't complain. Yes, it's not a performance-oriented machine, and I have to deal with that. Would I buy this bike? Absolutely. It's a fantastic machine. You know, I do prefer adventure bikes. The Himalayan obviously has been on my list for a long time, but I have owned a lot of Enfields in the past, and I do think that the way and the direction that Enfield is moving right now, this bike really is a big step for them, and it's going to be a fantastic impact across the world to see a bike like this being made here in India that's up to standards and is a fantastic machine.